Look out. Look out. Look out.
Well, we're not on the limit.
Thursday, May 8th, and it is the regular scheduled meeting of the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission. We welcome you. Let's have the roll call.
Commissioner Wick?
Here.
Commissioner Heller?
Here.
Vice Chair Wiegand?
Here.
Commissioner Hostrop?
Here.
Commissioner Arterberry?
Here.
Commissioner Holly?
Here, I don't have a mic though. You don't
Oh.
know that I'm here or not.
Can we
And
suspend?
Chair Cohen.
Here.
We will.
We did it on purpose.
I know that.
You and John can share.
Is that better? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. The agenda from the last meeting, April 10th. Paula?
This month's agenda was posted at City Hall on May 1st, and we have the approval of the minutes.
Make a motion. Go.
I would also make a comment. There was an omission to the minutes on Tockwitz, the Tockwitz corridor. The omission was need to have a landscape architect design for this project. This was discussed at the meeting, but it was omitted from the minutes.
John, say you're going to do that? Okay. So noted.
Any other comments? Leona?
One thing under the Chihuly artwork, airport artwork, it said that new plaques have been ordered for the two recently installed Macchia sets. Are they just the smaller
Yes.
ones? Just the
Yes,
smaller?
and they're in. Thank you. Other comments on the last minutes? And we have a call for, and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Minutes approved. Now let's take time for public comments. We have a huge gallery over here. It's a 5-minute limit. Would anybody like to speak? Just a good-looking bunch of people that are here to class up our act. As a former member of one of the commissions of Palm Springs, sir, we don't need your nasty remarks from the gallery. If there are no public comments, we will move to legislative action. And first, we'd like to welcome Lydia Kramer to speak on the Path of the Bighorn, which is the project, and she'll explain it, but it's the art project, the icon project that is being developed, and she will explain the whole thing to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, thank you for having me here. I am the project coordinator for Path of the Bighorn. So some of you may know about it, others may not. So I'm going to just start from the very beginning and try to fill you in. So I should say that I have been working on this project since January. I am a paid consultant to spearhead the project. Path of the Bighorn, I'm going to sit back.
Yeah, back a
Yeah.
little bit
Okay.
because you're popping.
Path of the Bighorn is being done under the auspices of the Bighorn Institute in Palm Desert, a 20-year old nonprofit organization here in the Coachella Valley that you may be aware of. It's modeled, the Path of the Bighorn is modeled after many other successful public art projects that have been done in Chicago and Santa Fe and Cincinnati and many other places around the country and indeed in the world. The original concept for the cows in Chicago originated from Switzerland. Anyway, we have brought together a consortium of people and sponsors, and we launched this project in February. February 2nd, at that time, we had a fledgling group of people and an idea, and on April 19th, we unveiled the first six painted bighorn sheep, and I have copies of them I want you to look at. I'm here today because one of our sponsors, Jackie Lee Houston, has requested that her sponsored ram that has been painted by Joe Wertheimer be placed at the airport. So I'm here to ask your sanction for that. I'm going to pass around a copy of the 6 that we unveiled in April to give you an idea of what the painted rams look like.
Paula, the mics are very hot.
You'll see the you'll see the sponsor's name, location, and I have a press packet here today that shows you the whole complete list of sponsors. Go ahead.
Excuse me, how many do you have?
The project is going to be 50 in total, and we have 33 to date sponsored rams. The 6 that were unveiled on the 19th are in, some of them already are placed in public places. One of them is, the very first one is at the City of Rancho Mirage City Hall. There's one currently at the Jane Beeman Gallery on North Palm Canyon in Palm Springs. And the library is going to, when Margaret Rhodes returns from vacation next week, she's going to decide where at the library they are going to have one also.
Which
Yeah.
library?
The Palm Springs
The library.
Public Library. That one has been a painted ram that's on this, it was by Sidney Sheldon, called The Storyteller. We have asked, the library is interested in having it there. I don't know if it would be considered a public art process there as well. That's why I'm mentioning it.
It is.
And it would be in the interior of the library, not the exterior.
Inside the building?
Inside the
Interior.
library,
No,
right.
I don't know. We'll check into it.
Okay. Well, I'm,
We just want to make sure that you get the proper approvals.
yes, yes, thank you, I appreciate that. The one in question for the airport is Jackie Lee Houston's, and it was painted by Joe Wertheimer. Joe Wertheimer was the sculptor who did the original model for us and has since painted the first one and subsequent ones. And I have only one photo of that one that I'm going to pass around. The one that we want to have at the library is titled Counting Sheep. And as I said, the Houstons sponsored it, and so forgive me for having only one copy of it, but I'm going to pass it around.
Isn't it here?
Well, it is, but I have a better photo of it here. The idea with the project is to increase awareness of the endangered bighorn sheep. This project is the only one of its kind that's been devoted to an endangered species. And secondarily, we hope that this is going to increase tourism in the Coachella Valley. We want the rams to be in public places from Coachella to Palm Springs. And the Palm Springs Tourism and the Convention Visitors Bureau has partnered with us to promote it to international and national visitors. And the Desert Sun is also a media sponsor, and they're going to, this was just the
Wonderful
first part of
coverage.
it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be doing full-page features on each of the rams and each of the artists, so we're going to get great exposure. The funds, after the rams are on public view for a period of about a year, they will all be auctioned off. And the funds from that auction will be given to the Bighorn Institute for construction of an education facility, and secondarily a program for schools to foster environmental stewardship. So that's basically what the project is.
Couple questions.
Yes.
What is the price of the sponsorship?
It's $4,000.
And
And $1,000 of that goes to the artist.
to the artist, that was my,
Yes.
yeah, what was the fee for the
Yeah,
artist?
but we pay for the shipping. We are in the process of shipping some to different places all over the country. And we pay
Oh,
for
you're
the.
sending the blank.
Yes, and we pay for the shipping. So that $4,000 covers all the associated costs of producing it and the artist and all that.
Terrific. And then, do you know exactly when, you haven't decided when you're going to have the auction or the venue?
Well, we're thinking, we are trying to avoid having a hard and fast date for that because the project has kind of taken on a life of its own. But we are figuring sometime in 2004. And as far as a venue goes, we want to make it a public auction to invite the public to participate. And the best venue that has occurred to us so far is at the river, where the amphitheater, and it would allow people to see the rams in the amphitheater. So right now, that's kind of what we're thinking of.
Be an easy access for you, too, to be able to bring them there. I'm assuming
Right.
you're going to bring them there.
We will probably have several of them, at least 2 of them at the river during
Oh,
the
just
progress of
that.
this. Yeah, just for the public to view them. I'm sure I'm leaving something out, but if you have any other questions, I can answer them.
What's the site at the airport? Have you selected an actual location?
No, we haven't.
And have
we
you
would
talked to
work
the
with-
airport commission?
I've spoken to Barry Griffiths,
Okay.
and he suggested that I speak with your group here to start with.
And the material?
The material, it's a fiberglass.
Fiberglass.
Yeah, ram, and it's life-size. It stands about 6 feet, and it's because it's on a pedestal, you can see. And it weighs only about 75 pounds. And Joe Wertheimer did a brilliant design in the pedestal. There is a small part of the pedestal that actually unscrews. So to enable water or sand to be placed in there to give it more
Stability.
foundation. Yeah, so.
I know they had some problems initially in Cincinnati with that because of some of the wind belts and some of the inclement weather.
Right.
So when it first happened, they learned their lesson, and then they redesigned some things.
Well, we have been benefited by the advice of someone who is a consultant who did one of these large public art projects in Santa Fe. And Rod Barker, we have asked him to help us so that we can avoid some of these pitfalls, and he's been invaluable so far.
And you say you have 33?
33
committed.
sponsored. Yes, I have packets for you that I've brought a gift from the project and a press kit inside there, and it has the full list of the sponsors, only up to 28. There's a few. But just to give you an idea of where some of the locations are going to be, The museum is going to have, the Palm Springs Desert Museum will have 2 of them, working with Catherine Huff there. And she last night just told me that she selected the 2 artists. One of those is sponsored by Lee Annenberg. And the location, the museum is going to kind of figure that out. We are going to have one at the Agua Caliente Cultural Museum. We're having one at the Children's Discovery Museum. And our hope is to tie the entire Coachella Valley together. This may be one of the few efforts that has been bandied about that will have all the cities working together in the name of tourism, and that's part of how we're positioning it. Do you have any more questions?
Marvelous project, marvelous.
Thank you. We're very excited about it, and the enthusiasm has just been fabulous.
Other questions? Comments? I think probably what we can do is encourage you, the most tacit way we can do it is just to say you certainly would have our support. As far as the airport and any other public places in Palm Springs, is to just be able to endorse them. You would, of course, have to let us approve the sites.
Sure.
But we would do nothing to impede your progress. So we'll put our heads together with the airport, because it's more important that it's not a problem for them with security and so on and so forth.
And there's some construction that they're
Yeah,
getting ready
exactly.
to do too. So, well, we would probably ask you to, we would follow your lead in terms of the process and the timing and who we should speak to and all of that, because I don't know where to go from here other than to Barry Griffiths.
Probably the best thing to do is, I would think probably for us to work with Barry and
Okay.
just maybe give you a couple of or 3 locations and see what you like. And then,
Okay.
you know, because from an artistic standpoint, and for Jackie Lee and Jim, they want it someplace that they like, and then we want something that works for the airport.
Of course, and also.
Not as much for us. I mean, we just want it someplace that works for them more
And that
than.
would be visible to people coming
Yeah.
in and out of the airport, obviously.
There are also, I mean, there's some highly visible places like the atriums at the airport that comes to my mind right
Sure.
away, and that's
Right.
going back to the gates to the escalators.
Right.
There's a, you know, and again, I'm talking off the top of my head, to the left, there's a little lawn area there that would be enormously visible to anybody departing and coming in. Yes, Mr. Heller?
I just wanted to throw one question out. Should the commission be involved with the theme or the artwork on the particular item that would be in public space for the city of Palm Springs?
You're getting into funny kind of territory. We'd have to look at that technically, because this is, technically, yes.
Yeah, I would think.
If it's going
it'd
into
be-
public space, we need to say, yeah, this meets with the standards of the city of Palm Springs. Or else you could end up with something,
Well, here's, and I think we certainly acknowledge the fact that that would be the proper protocol. And one suggestion would be, what we have asked all the artists to do is to submit a sketch. And based on that, the art committee reviews it. And we also ask them to submit a narrative. So if any of those designs are designated for a public place, then I could certainly come back here or submit them for your review, so that you, as far as
That'd be
theme,
fine.
that you, I don't understand what you mean by theme, though.
no, well, the concept of what's actually going on the sheet, like the one that you've submitted, that Jackie Lee and Jim's, I don't think any of us would find that objective, I'm speaking for all of us, or controversial. I mean, it's just a beautiful
Sure.
desert scene that seems to be in good taste and attractive. It might be something you like and you don't, but it seems to be okay. It's similar to something we worked on with Jane and the Desert Academy, Arts Academy, for the bench project
Bench
for
walk.
downtown. And they've submitted things to us, and we've said, out of these 10, we like these 8, and so on and so forth. We just want to make sure that the quality is something that we like out in public space.
Yes, of course. One other component of this is that we've drawn the interest of a lot of celebrity artists. and Tony Curtis being one, and Angelica Houston. We have a large roster of people who might be interested in doing one. And what we're going to do with that, those RAMs, is we're going to handle those separately and do those as a separate unveiling and auction. And we're going to try, and I haven't even talked to them, but we're going to try to fit it in with the film festival. And so anyway, that will be independent of the 50 that we're trying to get.
But then it would be appropriate to have those in Palm Springs. I mean, it wouldn't be so smart to have them in La Quinta if you're going to have it tied in with the film festival.
Well, the unveiling is going to, will try to have it at the film festival, but a sponsor and/or an artist or somebody may step forward and
want to
say-
do it in
and
Rancho
may-
Mirage.
Well, for the event, it makes sense for it to be here, but where they're ultimately designated might be somewhere in La Quinta. It just depends, and partly that's designated by the sponsor. So,
You would have a tremendous, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but you would have a tremendous impact if you had a walk of stars. You know what I'm saying? If you
Yes,
had Tony Curtis and
certainly.
Angelica Houston and Tony Quinn died, but great artists from the movies and television that would contribute, and if you did unveil them, and they would be in a place that would draw.
I agree. I think that would be a great concept if we could find the right place for that, and if everyone agreed that they should all remain in Palm Springs.
No, it's
so-
just a thought.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
not
great-
trying to run your
yeah,
committee.
No, it's just, that is kind of, it's one of those things about this project that has kind of, is taken a life of its own. And so and that's why I kind of didn't want to say when, because we don't really know. And, but we do, because of the response already, we're contemplating doing a second series of a ewe and a lamb. So depending on how successful this is, we may be back here again and with a whole other design, so.
The more you have, and we were working very closely with Cincinnati on doing an icon project. And the one thing that they said to us, which I'll pass on to you, and I'm sure you have the same information, the more you have, the more visible they are. The more visible they are, the more they're coveted. The more they're coveted, the more they'll spend when you auction them off.
Yes, absolutely.
The director of the Cincinnati Pigs just couldn't state that often enough. And they ended up with, I think they grossed $2.6 million.
How many did they have there, do you know?
I believe they ended up with about, I have the statistics, I haven't looked at them in such a long time, about 136, 100.
Did they auction them off also?
Oh, they went to the music hall in Cincinnati and took it over, and they had about 1,100 or 1,200 people at the auction and made $800,000 that night at the auction.
Fabulous. Well, one of the points that the consultant has told us that he did 120 painted ponies in Santa Fe, and he thought that was too many when it came to the auction. And that was a statewide project, so we're kind of, we don't know who to believe, but.
Well, I'm just going by what, their numbers were sensationally successful.
Absolutely, and Chicago had.
And
pretty
Chicago.
Stellar
The
numbers
others were
also.
not. Los Angeles was not.
The
Boston
Angel-
was not. The Cods were not. We've been delving in this for a long time.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your support, and.
We
we'll
love it.
keep you- Well, thank you.
We're all for you.
Well, with that, I'll distribute my gifts that I brought for you.
Okay.
Hamburgers?
No. Leo?
Is that
Back.
your paper?
Oh,
Oh-ho.
Beth prefers a darker tote bag. Oh,
I just love tote bags. I think this is great.
this is so nice
Do
of
we
you.
have to report this on our income tax?
Just shows we can be bought.
Thank you very much.
Oh, how nice.
Wonderful. Oh,
Very nice.
There's more graft. Oh, I forgot we were on air. This is very nice.
Thank you very much.
You are wonderful, EWE.
Now we have to carry them everywhere so we support the project.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know it.
You mean it's already happened? Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell Jackie Lee and Jim we're thrilled to help them in any way. They're very, very helpful and generous with us.
My,
More power to them. I think it's
yes.
I think it's just terrific.
Okay, on we go.
Next, well, let's see, the Chihuly Airport artwork. What did I write here? I can't read what I wrote. D-O-N, door. Oh. Yeah. Do you want to address this?
Well, these are hot mics. Mr. Chairman, the council did approve the acceptance of the, oh. No, that doesn't work. The acceptance of the artwork and the final payment to Chihuly last night at the meeting.
Good.
So I don't know if there's anything else we need to do on that, but as far as I know, we're done. So, and they're in.
Did we send out one more letter that we talked about on the fundraising? Will be the last chance for anyone to get their name listed as part of the fundraiser?
No. No, we haven't. We haven't done any, no, we've done no more letters. Mm-mm.
Maybe
We
can
have
make
time.
Maybe we can make an announcement on this, on your TV show, Lou, and, throw it out there and be done.
Yeah, we still have time. We won't have an official dedication and an official unveiling until next season. We have a couple of things that we still need to put into place at the Chihuly artwork, and that is the actual dedication plaques showing the major donors who have given us $1,000 and more. And we've had many at the $5 and $10 and $1,000 level, and also at the $50,000 level, one challenge grant. And then, in addition to that, we want a key of some sort that will explain, along with, hopefully, which we've talked about from the very beginning, an audio tape that you can walk up and hear a presentation of what you're looking at, so that as you're looking at these magnificent things very casually, you can just push a button. And I don't know what the current technology is, but you may not even have to put on earphones. You can just walk up to an area and hear something speak to you as to what it is and who did this and who Dale Chihuly is and so on. So I've been working with Fritz Frauschiger on this to get the right words and the right phrases and so on. But I think that audio is even more important than the visual aspect, rather than having to stand there, and we were talking about this today, reading all of this. It would be better for them to hear it. Mm-hmm. You're now looking at whatever we want to say on the thing. So those two elements have to be there, and then we'll have the unveiling. And we can use that also as an opportunity perhaps to raise some additional funds.
Okay.
But we welcome your contributions. All of you are loyal fans that are out there that would like to contribute. If you contribute to the sum of $1,000 or more, your name will be in perpetuity at the airport at the Chihuly project.
Leah, once the plaques are designed, if they're already working on, if they already worked on that, or they're still designing the plaques?
To be designed. That'll be, we'll do that at subcommittee and then present it to the commission.
And then is there at some point going to be a list of the ones that are going to have plaques? Are we going to send that out to everybody to approve their name? Or
Oh,
in case we
absolutely.
don't have any spelling issues?
Absolutely,
or-
absolutely.
Okay.
We have to design how we're going to do it. If we're going to do it all individually, or if we're going to do one plaque for each of the classifications, et cetera, and the location.
Are there going to be, because I wasn't involved in that, are there going to be plaques for businesses and municipalities that also contributed?
I think it's all going to be based on the amount, rather than,
What would it-
otherwise.
Any entity that gave over $1,000.
Otherwise, you'll have, well, these were businesses, and these were clubs, and these were people. I think you get too confusing.
Yeah.
It was mostly individual donors, so you would have too many plaques with maybe just one thing on it, if we did it that way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was mostly just individual people.
We've had,
Yeah.
we've had
Donated.
like
You don't have
two,
like cities or
we've
anything
had
like
two
that?
cities other than
Two.
Palm Springs that have
That's all.
given us funds.
And are those two cities going to be on there?
They'll be
Sure.
there, but they'll be the city of, based on their, how much they gave us.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. We did a lot of pre-work on this in the subcommittee by going to the library and to temples and churches and so on to see, how other people did it. Lori, did you have a question? So the sub will start working on this, and we're looking for a late fall, maybe just after the first of the year, because we want to iron out all the security and all of that and work with Chuck and Barry and do it the right way at the airport.
Okay.
Any other questions?
The audio you're talking about, I was out getting a soda while you were talking about it. But so what are you talking about? Hit a button and the audio comes on
What
and
we're
explains?
possibly, we were talking about doing a sort of a small kiosk kind of thing with a sign of some sort that would explain Dale Chihuly, what it is they're looking at, and so on. Instead of doing that, something quite small that says, push this button and have an explanation. And if we could do it in an audio way without having dangling earphones and all that, do it that way. Something located near one of the posts or near that area, I think that could be very effective. We talked about audio there from the very day that we conceived the project, so that people walking by casually knows that they're looking at something very significant.
Okay.
It's much neater.
You're going to get Ed Kibbe to record it, like on the tram?
Yeah, we thought maybe they could sing it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. City entry signage, I don't think there's any interest in discussing that today. JR?
Oh, we could skip over that one. No, the designers are here. We have been working on the project since the last meeting. Obviously, there's a timing issue if we want to keep more or less to the same schedule as the visitor center. And in the audience are Jeff Juraski and Gary Wexler, and I don't think Tom Dosey's here. We have received a design proposal from the team on TKD stationery, Tom Dosey stationery, as kind of the project, I guess, well, project organizer. But there were a couple of issues in our meeting last week that we thought would be worth bringing back to talk to the commission about, namely the issue of the font on the Palm Springs sign. And we kind of went back and forth, and we had all the different boards. There's about 6 different boards, and some of them we're finding out now kind of alternative treatments and alternative boards that I think we were using as the sort of principal proposal. But the designers felt, and it was their recollection, and they were very clear and relatively adamant about it, that the approved font was the Futura bold. I think it's a bold, but it's the block script, which matches the city hall, and it was sort of a cast to the modernism in the community. And we have begun the process of costing the project out, and what we'd like to do is to bring a contract for the actual design work of the project to council, probably the first meeting in June, and so that we can get the actual plans and designs, and so that we can go bid go bid the project out. We do have an estimated project cost. They did go to a local contractor and get it costed out, and we'll get to the amount in a few minutes. But I don't know if you want to hear from the kind of a short representation on the concept.
It's been quite some time, and yeah, we
So-
welcome it.
so-
The more we've looked at this, the more we like it. I mean, we liked it at the time, and we've grown to like it even more every time we look at it.
Gary, do you want to do that, or Jeff, or?
We kind of divided up half and half.
Jeff's
Okay.
very shy, so.
Let me get you the hand mic.
Do I have to fly you guys off too?
Yes.
Did either of you bring tote bags?
Being city people, you have to make sure you talk about how these things are donated and get reference to the offices.
Gary,
If
wants
they're
to-
over $2,500, you gotta do it.
Sure glad I like his wife.
How much does the mug cost?
You guys can hear me, obviously. We're going to do it kind of twofold. I'll handle the architecture of the entry monument, and Gary will talk graphically and conceptually what's going to kind of be handled here.
That's as far as it goes.
Doesn't sound like it's on.
Do I need this? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys can hear me, but I think it's the camera and all that kind of good stuff. Okay. If you'll go over here to the site
Do I
plan,
have a
first
stick?
of all, orientation-wise. There's Palm Canyon over here.
I think Paula's getting a stick. No, it's
No,
plugged in here.
Did you plug it in over there?
I just don't back up, be sure.
Please don't strangle Margie, it's her last meeting.
Yeah.
They gave him a quarter of an inch more.
Okay,
Did you plug
site
it
plan
in
over
there?
here, as though you were a bird looking down on it, if you will. North Palm Canyon, the visitor center is up here. And essentially, the idea initially, this was designed previously. This was designed previously, obviously, to the visitor center being in existence. So there are some plans to tie in the two efforts here from a site plan orientation, but we can discuss that in a minute. Essentially, this is the existing area of decomposed granite or gravel that's out there now that people heading south on Palm Canyon will come in and turn around and kind of stop and get their photos taken where the existing sign is. The existing sign is relatively close. Testing. Can you guys, is it working?
Thank
The
you.
idea here is to do a very sculptural element that basically follows the line of an organic sand dune, if you will, looking up into Chino Canyon. And that is a pair of walls made out of poured-in-place concrete. This one here and this one here. This one here starts relatively at zero elevation, usually bookended by boulders at either end. And this does a low cascade in a form that goes like this behind this one that starts similarly and then goes back up and across and then down toward the street. And it does by, you can see here, kind of an S shape, very subtle. The idea here is that when you're passing by, or if you're stationary, if you're setting yourself over here for a photo op or something like that, that you're looking through the grove and the boulder clusters that are happening up into Chino Canyon and seeing Mount San Jacinto and the tramway up ahead. The components of all this is such that this is a round element that's at either ground level or just below that we berm to, and that is a compass head, conceptually at this point in time, terrazzo, colored concrete, that type of thing, with probably some sort of bronzed medallion, if you will, at in the dead center here that Gary can allude to. But essentially what it has is directional to things that are happening in the desert. The idea here is that people would stand on that and take a photo right at the Palm Springs letters, and just below the Palm Springs letters is a window. And the window is open, and standing strategically on that compass face, you'd look through that window and see the peak line of the mountains beyond. And So that's conceptually, that's what's going on. The cluster of palm trees exist. There are no new palm trees that are planned. There's going to be boulders and mounding and that sort of thing that are going to be encompassed into the whole process. And you might want to know about the water. This little blue line right here. We're chewing on this one because we want no maintenance issues to happen at all. The idea is that the effect of light going through that water and shimmering on the face of the Palm Springs letters is what we're after. We want a pool, or the effect of a residential pool at nighttime after dark. So we're exploring totally encapsulating the mechanism of the water flowing. So there is no evaporation, there is no maintenance, but the water is flowing, or at least moving, and lit from underneath so that it shimmers up on the sign. That's the idea. So we're exploring that. And I think there's a line item, John, for something along those lines in there.
Jeff, is there any way of duplicating that without the use of water? I mean, duplicating the same feeling without...
The long answer is no.
No, you know
The
that.
short answer is N.
Well, I don't know what else there might be, frankly. But if it's totally encapsulated at ground level, that is somehow made so that it's not walk-onable or doesn't scratch or something like that, there may be an easy fix. Basically, prefab it, plug it in, put it in the ground, and walk away. So that'd be the ideal situation. Anything to add?
Wait, are you addressing the letters, or is
I'm like Gary.
Hi. We had a couple of issues that we've wanted to address in the initial concept of the sign. We wanted, first of all, for it to be a monument as you enter the city, realizing that in the long term, this is going to be a landmark of the city. And we wanted it to represent the city in several ways. We wanted it to express the architectural element that has become such a major component now of the city's identity, and we wanted it to have a sense of timelessness. We didn't want it to seem trendy. We didn't want it to be dated, and I think as a starting point to the actual letter forms, looked at what the city already has, and the City Hall is a perfect example with the type of modern typography that has an aesthetic that is identifiable with modernism, and we wanted to make a bridge. You know, we didn't want to introduce anything new. We wanted to unify what's being done in the city. So typographically, as far as communicating the image of Palm Springs, we addressed it this way, and we realized after taking a close look at the site that it needed to be an entire site experience. People stop, get out of their cars, and have their photos taken. And we realized that the actual site is so unique and offers so much that's totally unique to Palm Springs. And for the visitors coming in, let's give them the whole thing in one brief experience. And so looking at the landscaping design, we thought it was very important to incorporate the elements of the existing oasis. Our landscape architect, Tom Dosey, has put together a palette of color and natural indigenous planting that works as a total design element to basically frame this view that as you enter the city and you see this sign, you're seeing the mountainscape behind it. You're seeing the Chino Canyon rising up. You're having this element, the grass element, which is identified with the golf course. You're seeing the Palm Oasis, which is identified with the Indian Canyons. And the design element of the sign as a stainless steel frame inset in the concrete, very carefully, the whole site graded so that as you look at it from street level, you're looking up and you're seeing the mountainscape behind. You're seeing, you're using it as a conceptual frame for the landscape. One of the additional elements, realized I'm trying to understand it as a total site experience, people will be photographed there. So we've shown just relative scale of somebody standing against the sign or up to the sign, and we've developed this area here, which is basically setting up the perfect photograph. We wanted people to get out of their cars, or now it seems that they'll be able to walk from the tourism center to the site, stand in this location, and we're going to set it up for the perfect picture so that as you stand in front of it, looking through it, you see the ridge of the mountains coming through, palm trees off to the side, splashes of color from the plantings all around it. And we wanted to also make it an educational experience in that in the compass motif of the terrazzo, to have some kind of informational graphic that is basically, you are here. The City of Palm Springs incorporated the date. The geographical location, longitude, latitude, elevation, important information here. We also wanted to incorporate an area for the service plaques, which there are many. And so those will be in the second concrete structure that'll happen. We will either inset or have some space that's specifically designed for all of those service plaques so that they are easily read from the street as you're passing by. The other thing that we would like to do is with this palm oasis, most of it which is actually there already, we would like to incorporate some types, what we'd like to present to you as we develop this project further, are types of informational plaques explaining the different types of planting, a brief description of the palm oasis, of the different types of indigenous plants. If we can get other contributions into that, with that, there's so much that we can offer with this project. My involvement as the graphic design coordinator here is to give it a unified presentation throughout all these different aspects. Other informational kiosks that could be explored would be a description of Chino Canyon. People are standing there and they'll be amazed by when it's explained exactly what they're looking at. There's a whole lot that can be presented in this very small area, and with the design that we're presenting, it has a very minimalist quality to it, which is, I think, the real beauty of it. And with the typography, the simpler, the more refined it is, I think the better it'll communicate all those things that we've tried to accomplish here.
Oh,
A couple of very quick questions. How many cars will park there?
I think the turnaround essentially is going to be I think the turnaround essentially is going to be 10 to 12 in a purposeful manner, but really the idea is that a lot of the cars that are going to be experiencing this, that are not going to be in a transitionary function, are actually going to come into the visitor center and going to walk over to it.
sure.
Yeah.
My other question was, there'll be an easy access that you guys are working on to be able to walk back and forth?
We have the benefit, obviously, of staff working with both teams, the visitor center and then this project too, and then Gary's a member of both teams, so it actually has a nice tie-in. But at this point, there's a web, if you will, of pathways from the visitor center toward this site, which
Good.
will facilitate, which will facilitate pedestrian traffic, the botanical explanation plaque things, the educational process of the landscape architecture from one to the other.
And one thing which when you guys were here at our last session, and I hate to be boring and keep bringing this up, but when you come
We're
in
used
on
to it, don't worry.
111, as you come into town, there's a sharp curve, and something comes out there. You don't see this current sign that's out there, et cetera, until you make a very sharp curve, and then you're halfway past it before you realize it's an entry.
Yeah, we're
sign.
aware of that
If we can
experience.
cut
'Cause I've-
some of that back.
Yeah, going 55 miles an hour, you oftentimes don't see that sign until it's too
Exactly,
late.
until you're halfway past it. It's more like
Understood.
an approach, so you know that something's going on there.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if you go 55, you see it.
I wouldn't know, John.
You've timed it.
Can I just add a couple of things to that? Because I am involved in both projects, and we're talking to the landowner. We don't own this land.
That's right.
Well, right now, the city has that on a grant of right-of-way from the Nichols family going back to 1970. We're going to replace that with a lease for the whole site. It's part of a 36-acre parcel. We're gonna lease area to the west of the visitor center for parking, and kind of swoop down and take in the area in between the visitor center and the sign for the interpretive center that Mr. Jurowski was talking about, and it's sort of the web of pathways, and then also pick up the sign, the sign site. Talking to the property owner, and actually from our own point of view, our preference almost would be not to have a driveway right there for traffic reasons and all that. But the sad fact is that if you didn't have a driveway, you'd have people pulling off on the side of the road there and parking on 111, which would be even more dangerous than having the current driveway, pulling in on the gravel and taking advantage of the little bit of parking there. But the intent really is to get people to come from the other side now, to go to the visitor center, park in an actual parking lot, go through you'd have to go, unless you want to stumble over the boulders between the parking lot and the sign, you would have to actually come down through the visitor center, at least not through the building, but through the site, and then come across the pathway, which is preferred. It's going to be graded, it's going to be level, and people will be coming in from I guess that's from the south to the site. A couple of developments since we talked last month. We've refined the visitor center budget, so the budget itself is a little bit more constrained. One of the things that had to go as part of the refined budget was the landscaping and the interpretation in the area in between the visitor center and the sign. However, we were urged to go talk to Desert Water Agency because they've done a number. They just redid the landscaping down in the sculpture garden at Desert Museum as part of a demonstration project, and the staff there, their public affairs committee meets next week to discuss it, and the board will take it up at a meeting on the 27th. We feel, I probably shouldn't say this on TV, but we did the other night to council. We feel pretty good about their involvement, and so that component would get added back in, so we'd have the opportunity, to link the sign and the visitor center with exactly the sort of things that Mr. Wexler was talking about with the description of the plantings, to the extent we actually add plantings, and be sort of like the way excuse me, the Living Desert does it, with trees and with the flora there, that they'll have little signs that say this is what it is. The agency has a real interest and a real heightened interest in low water landscaping and conservation, and sees this as a tremendous opportunity to demonstrate in a real high profile location and a real pedestrian location, the use of low water landscaping, because that's something as a community that we really need to start considering more and more. So that's the linkage between that and the visitor center project, and that project is moving forward. And this is this project is not very far behind it, if we can keep on track. So I don't know if you have any more questions for the architects.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm questioning the font. I remember we had sent a copy of the font that was requested by the public on the I-10. And are we going to have the same type of font everywhere? Are we going to have this type here and then the font that the public wanted for the I-10 project? Remember
I don't know what you mean by the font the public wanted.
We
Our
there's a
signs-
script letter that
We
we
had the
just
script.
approved to go on the Genotry overpass.
What public?
Our,
hasn't been involved in the I-10
No.
project at all.
no, we have,
They liked.
they like the
Ooh,
script.
when? What public are you talking about?
I'm talking about the entry sign that we had input. This is when I was off the commission, and everybody voted on the type.
Are you talking about that advisory panel committee that we had? The Blue Ribbon Panel?
Yes,
That
and
was disbanded.
I know it was, but the public had come forward and said they liked the type of font that was at the entryway coming into Palm Springs from the south.
You mean out on Highway 111?
Yes, on 111.
Because you said Highway 10.
Well, yes, but we had sent the copy of that font on to Kevin Peterson because this is what
I'd like to make a comment. I know that we discussed the font that is the kind of, whatever you call it.
The one that's currently
Yeah.
out there?
Yes.
Out there. And I think that for the bridge project, because the bridge is so stark, that is a warm, inviting font for the bridge, that this would not be appropriate. I don't think that it's appropriate for this design because this is definitely a very modern, and I think this font goes with this design better, and I think that the other font belongs on the bridge. That's
Well, I agree, but my thought was just to bring this up because we are having two different fonts. That's all I'm,
Excuse me,
Yes.
did we send a copy of that script font to Parsons?
yes.
We did?
Yes.
Who did?
Who?
David Bracken did. I took him, yeah.
That font that's out on the entrance sign?
With us, whatever he sent, we have not approved any font that was sent to engineering.
Yeah, the only thing
We
that-
don't even
the
know
only
if
thing
there's
that I
going to be
remember
font on that bridge yet.
was at our last meeting,
Meeting.
when the gentleman was giving us
Yeah.
the design on the
Right.
overpass.
Right.
We talked about that script signage of Palm Springs.
That's right.
And then it was tied into that sign, and we were talking about having the lettering the same on both. However, we decided on doing that, I can't tell you, but I do remember that there was a connection between the two types of lettering.
That's true, but I was just saying that, having seen this again, that I think this is more appropriate.
For this location.
This location.
Yes.
There's one comment. We don't have final word as to whether or not there will be any kind of writing on the overpass. Right now, there is none.
That's right, on I-10.
On I-10, nothing. And if they...
Let me say just one thing. In Riverside, when you come down, oh God, what's the name of the boulevard? And here's the big 60, and over it says University of California. They have the lettering on the overpass. Right. So there's a place where they've done it within 60 miles. of us,
absolutely.
Just
because
so
he
I
was
don't get
saying he
confused,
couldn't.
basically what we're saying is we want to look at both of these projects as separate with no connection. to
That's
each other.
right.
Is that what we're up to right now?
No.
Yes.
No.
No,
No?
I don't think we should make that as a statement. I think we need to look at this and make a decision together, because I don't totally agree with that.
To agree with what?
I don't think we should look and say this font is okay for this, and this font is okay for that, and this font's okay for something else.
Well, see, that's where I got
I
confused, because last time we met, we were
think this
talking
needs
about
to
the
be
two
something that
together.
we should discuss together and not on the air and work out and decide.
I was under the
really do.
impression that Mr. Peterson said that the names of the cities weren't going on the overpasses down the valley.
Yeah, that's what he did say.
There wasn't going to be any Palm Desert, there wasn't going to be any Palm Springs, there weren't going to be any wordings on the
Yeah,
overpasses.
that's what I was told.
I spoke to him today, and he will be sending a report to Dave Barakian, the engineer, and I think after that, we can kind of look at it more closely and see what that says.
I just had one more question, just for clarification. On the ideal place for the photograph, we were saying, standing on the little star there. I'm looking at that, and with that, that's not what you would actually see, correct? In other words, there's two walls there. So you were saying that someone would stand in front of that and see the mountain peaks through the window with the photograph, but in reality, they would be two walls away from that, wouldn't they? She'd be standing in front of another wall. Okay.
A wall that might be waist high.
So it's a low wall that would be behind her, and then this other wall, and then shooting.
And
Okay.
it's the space between those two walls that we're proposing to put the questionable water feature that for the lighting effect at night. See,
Okay.
one of the things that I envisioned with this, with the lighting at night, with the stainless steel letters, is the lighting is the landscape lighting is so important. So as you're entering the city, that this thing will basically be glowing as you drive up to it, and with the lighting effect that'll be hidden in that trough between the two walls, the low wall, that'll create that shimmering effect on the concrete and on the metal letters.
Beautiful design. What's the distance between the two walls at that point?
We haven't worked that out. It's just conceptual at this point.
18 inches.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He just worked it out.
That was
I mean,
easy.
the way you're looking at it here, it looks like the width of a car, which I would think would be about 6 feet. But, so they're really close together, these two walls.
They should be doing two things. They should dissuade people from walking through there, and they should house the water. And so whatever dimension we can develop with that in mind, and there's going to be some maintenance things about the very tops of the two walls need to be canted so people don't walk up there and that sort of thing. So there's a couple of other logistical things. But
Gary or Jeff, on the in the photo op situation, if we were to stand where the model is standing, would there be any flora in that photograph? Would you pick up any of the palm grove? Because the way it's sketched, it looks as if you would not. You would get a very stark picture through that window, whereas all the palm grove and all that would be further to the left, further to the east.
I think our ultimate orientation is that the palm grove would kind of creep into this part of the frame outside of this, because that really is Chino Canyon and the ridgeline. That's what we're going to see.
No, I'm just curious, because
Yeah.
if you're just getting that, you're going to
Yeah.
get a lot of brown rock.
Yeah, the idea is to kind of frame it with palm at the left side there.
Yeah.
Bougainvilleas, the palm coming up here. So we have color coming in.
But you'd have to do a very wide angle, or you'd have to shoot it. I guess it depends on how you stand and how you shoot
Yeah,
it.
and where that's located relative to that, whether it's, front or that kind of thing, is going to have everything to do with it too.
And the other question, which I questioned at the time you did your presentation, I know how important the service clubs are.
Yes.
This is such an exquisite thing. And service clubs plaques are just such beautiful works of art
Aren't they, though?
that they seem destructive where they are. And with all these photo ops going on, like, oh, look, I went to Kiwanis, California, or I went to Rotaryville, or, you know what I'm saying? It seems a shame to clutter this beautiful thing with bunches of little
Yeah.
meeting at noon, and don't forget, this week, John Spencer will be there or something.
Agreed, and you should
It's
keep
very
in
important
mind
to
that
have.
I'm
them
not
right
saying it's not important. I
You know,
agree
the-
100%.
the plan is that those are down here.
Yeah.
Far enough away.
Yeah, and they're, how they're oriented on the sign in a nice linear pattern, like Gary was able to demonstrate over here, these are probably a bit overscaled.
Well, see,
probably
that's
closer
one
to
that
this
worries
than
me.
this.
Over here it doesn't, but there it does.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, your photo op is here, and those signs will be down in
Okay.
here. So that really
I
shouldn't
feel
be a problem.
assuaged.
It's a beautiful design.
Mr. Chairman?
Isn't it beautiful,
Yeah.
Tracy?
Beautiful.
I know. We've all,
Mr.
yes.
Chairman, I have a
Yeah,
question.
please.
When we first saw this, the city did not own the visitor center, as I'm correct, as I remember. But I don't see a relationship between this and the visitor center so that this will all go together. I don't see elements. Now, I'm not an artist, so maybe I'm not looking right, but I don't see elements from the visitor center. And it seems to me there should be a relationship between the two and then that open space in there so that we don't have one thing here and something different over here and no man's land in between.
JR?
Mr. Chairman, that's exactly the sort of thing that we're working on now. In the landscaping and interpretive area in between the visitor center and the gateway sign, and by adopting the block script, it's going to be very similar. It might even be the identical script to what we use at the visitor center, along with the use of stainless in the signage.
Sweep of that roof, which everybody.
Well, you're not going to build another little
No.
hyperbolic
but
paraboloid.
shouldn't there be lines that repeat in another part of the design?
Well, I see the visitor center has straight lines, even though they go up. This is a lot of straight lines. And as I understood it, they were going to take the fence down at the
You are
visitor
taking the
center.
fence down.
The wall.
Yeah.
And if that goes down, then that would give it more continuity with the shapes that are below the roof of the visitor center.
I think one thing, we all know what we'd like to see happen, and I think we need to leave this in their hands to make sure that I mean, they know.
It's related.
Yeah, I think they know that. They know they're going to
Well-
have to, that they're,
But I don't see any adjustments from before the city bought that. Or don't you feel? Do you feel that it's, as an artist?
Well, yes or no, without debating it, obviously, because we have talked about that also. Two things. One, and Gary alluded to it before, the city signage is timeless and should not pay homage exclusively to a particular architectural theme. The fact that we are giving a tip of our hat to the modernism just by the simple use of stainless steel and a more contemporary typeface is indicative of that part of our architecture here. But frankly, the landscape forms, the architecture of this is more an attributable aspect of the desert, more so than anything in particular. I hear you loud and clear when it comes to the fact that they're both city announcements, let's say. So in that respect, the simple sensual form of this can relate to that parabolic roof structure in some manner. The color of this concrete and the color of the block, possibly at the visitor center, might have some tie-in. Colored concrete's a little more expensive than gray concrete, so we're toying with a number of those issues. And also how then the landscape really ties into.
No, I
So
understand what you're saying.
your concern is well heard, and it is a point of discussion as to how we can do that. We will never turn our back to that discussion at all. We will have some elements of
Yeah.
tie-in, certainly.
And I'm very concerned about the water. Any water element anyway, we find that water becomes very costly.
oh, really?
Over time.
Well, what are you
Yes.
referring to?
We can't
I wanted to
afford
just
another
address
pump.
some of your comments because those types of basic problems were discussed when we began all this. And I think that the conclusion that we came to as a design team was that nothing should compete with the Frey building. That is such a unique form. It's such a memorable form that trying to mimic any of the architecture per se with the angles is going to be self-defeating. I mean, that, and in terms of communicating the basic message, we want to say Palm Springs, and I thought it was important that we maintain a similar aesthetic, but we don't mimic the forms. And by the use of the poured-in-place concrete, which although this rendering may look more like mosaic. It's actually going to be
It looks like granite.
yeah, it's going to be concrete or stamped concrete. We'll explore the different types of textures. We want the color and the texture of the wall to offset from the landscape. We don't want it to blend in directly with the landscape behind it, but we want it to look like it's natural. Another idea, which I think maybe got lost in our initial presentation when we presented this concept, was that in our research of this site, one thing that was brought to my attention several years ago at one of the Palm Springs Modern conferences, I saw a slide of a structure that Frey had actually put in place somewhere in this location off of on 111 before you drive up to it, and it was a series of undulating concrete walls. And we had tossed that idea around. I saw the slide in the presentation, and I made a mental note, but I don't recall the scale of these things or when they were made or when they were demolished. But it set us on I think a course design-wise. What kind of elements can we integrate with this very angular structure? And Jeff pointed out the fact that the design of these curving walls has a very it's a natural form that fits in that particular site, but it also, I think, complements the severe angularity of the roof line of the visitor center. And how do we tie it together visually? I think it's with the texture and the color of the surfaces. I think the concrete wall. I think what I understand what is proposed for the wall surrounding the visitor center is that it's going to be lowered to 3 foot. So I think that we have a similar scale happening as you round the corner Tramway Road onto 111, and then it'll continue onto the site here. So I think I think we have enough features that give you a sense of unity to the two projects. But I think that it's real important that they each maintain their own identity. And so we tried to strike a balance with this proposal.
So well thought out.
Yes.
We really need to move forward unless we have some other very important things. We've got to rest of the
Lot to
agenda.
do.
I thank you again. Thank you for taking the time to represent this. By the way, just to let you know, and this is for the public also, there are markers and directional signs that have also been designed to tie in with this, which was one of the things that we liked so much at the initial presentation, that echo the spirit of this presentation, and most echoes here, that will give directions on how to get to the airport, to the library, to the convention center, to the Desert Museum. So they're very handsome also, with very good-looking stainless steel pieces that are part of the directional system.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
all in all, bravo. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
Anything more on this?
Let's go.
Mr. Chairman, we'd like to bring the design contract. Do you approve that, or does it before it goes to council, or I'm not sure how the commission works.
This is the first time we've seen it.
Okay.
Because they were
Well, it's just a
working
proposal.
We're working on the cuff, so we have not.
Okay, we'll actually, I know that the council will need to approve the design contract, and we'll bring that to them probably the first meeting in January. We'll put it in the form of a contract, or June, I'm sorry.
Come on, you're really shoving to get ahead.
And,
Do we need to make a motion to approve this in concept before you write a contract?
well, I know that you've already approved the conceptual design, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
No. A year.
Was it a year ago?
Year to a year and a half.
Okay, so it was last year. So my understanding is already approved. I think if you want to reapprove us going forward with the paying for the design of it, that would probably, that would probably be a good thing.
Leon?
Paying for this.
So
Paying
before-
for this, the TKD.
I'm sorry, I have
So-
a question.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Well-
have the same question.
Well, the only thing I wanted, just another clarification on that lettering before you, it seems like we had some confusion on this lettering is, so before a motion should be really carried forward, I mean, I have no objections to this lettering, I just want to make sure that we're doing it
We've
right.
never had confusion on this lettering. This lettering was always this
Always the
lettering.
right way?
We
Okay.
never considered any other font than
Okay.
this lettering.
So a
for
motion
this
would be needed
project.
just to go forward.
Yeah, except that Leona does have a comment.
When you talk about the contract, who's paying for this?
You are.
Arts
You'll
Commission?
pay for it. The Arts Commission will pay for it.
We agreed to this?
No,
No.
we've never seen this proposal.
No.
They worked on the cuff until now. And we knew,
We paid them
thought-
for the initial.
yeah,
I thought we paid for 5,000.
yeah, so,
They were the
I-
last three proposals that we selected this one out of.
yeah.
Right.
but-
And when we selected this one, that was, like you said, quite a while ago before the visitor center came up. And I know that they're working on the visitor center, and I feel good about the fact it sounds like you're addressing all of the issues in terms of transitioning from there to here. But if we're paying for this project, I guess
You're also going to be asked to pay for the construction.
And
For the
does our-
whole construction?
Yeah.
No, but we have no idea
No.
what the
No.
construction costs are gonna be. So this amount of money is basically just for the design fees that they've done up to date? Or
No.
these are gonna
This
be
is
like
actually do the
blueprints, et cetera,
blueprints
for
and
the
working
construction?
drawings and.
The working
yes.
drawings?
Then I need an explanation of what preliminary plans and design development. What was the, what did we pay them for?
You paid them for this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
for
then
these.
what are design development?
When you start putting you start talking about what needs to be graded, what needs, yeah, taking it to the next
So taking
step.
this to the next step, so we're not paying them, we've already paid
No,
them for all
you've
that.
already paid them for all that.
Okay. Now, how much is this? I mean, what can we afford? Okay, what if this is $200,000?
Well, and what's the appropriate, I guess we always had a question initially about where's the appropriate place for it to be paid for. I think when we said about our involvement in terms of the Public Arts Commission, we were interested in being involved in the design aspect and, what did we think would be appropriate for signage in Palm Springs, but I don't think it was ever understood that that was
No.
going to be a
Right.
cost of the Art Commission.
No.
ultimately.
This
Okay.
was precipitated by council coming to us and say, we need new signs. Would you come up with some ideas for us?
That's right, a
A
design.
design concept, which we've been working on for about 3 to 4 years. With no one ever said, and after you do that, by the way,
Yeah.
give
You
us
can-
Well-
$200,000 and pay
You're,
for it.
you're absolutely right about that. I'm coming into this late. I've not really directly been involved in the process, but my understanding of your understanding when you undertook the competition for the signage is that you felt that you were just undertaking the aesthetic decision making,
That's right.
and that it was going to be the city.
That's it.
Absolutely.
The city has a $4.2 million deficit.
So we-
The city's not going to pay for this. The city, not meaning the Arts Commission, but the city general fund, they're spending $500,000 while we spent $638,000 to acquire the visitor center. We're going to spend another $500,000 on parking lot, interior improvements, bathroom building, plus DWA's money on the landscaping. The direction I've gotten is to come to the Arts Commission to ask the Arts Commission to proceed with redoing, to do this sign and to pay for it.
I have no problem paying for the drawings and whatever they need to get the construction started. And, I would say that's fine. But I wouldn't approve anything else unless I knew exactly what it's going to be further down the road. I can't say that I would vote for us to be paying for it. It would depend on what it was. I'm not saying that I wouldn't vote for that, but I think it's only fair to the men who have been here several times to actually pay them for design, because we did decide this is what we wanted, whether we do it now or 10 years from now.
Beth, I thought we paid them for their initial design. It's just a matter of whether to take it another step further and
Yeah.
and where this should be paid for, whether this should be
Oh.
this continued part
No,
of
well,
it.
that's why I say that if these are working drawings, I don't have a problem paying for working drawings.
As long as it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if it's going to be, now here's another $13,000, and then, okay,
It's gonna
that's
be dead
fine.
end 'cause nobody
Now,
has the
write
money.
us a check for $250,000. Huh? You know,
Well, it's
that's
not-
like, go appraise 3 Picassos, pick out the one you like best, and then give us a check.
Right.
Well, and
Does
Leah,
this even fall under a Public Arts Commission?
This
rule?
doesn't.
Not to, no,
I don't even
I don't
see where it
think
this is
falls
a
so.
under
big
the thing.
surprise.
I
No.
don't think so.
Because see,
It's not a bit, no, we talked about this at the last meeting, we talked about it at the meeting before.
not paying
Every,
for it.
no, no. I've mentioned in the last couple of meetings that the city has asked me to ask you to ultimately pay for this.
No.
No, that,
No.
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 Leo, I'm
Well-
concerned about this becoming the sort of the same thing that we had with the I-10. We paid for the $30,000 to do the design there, and now we're kind of at a standstill. And I hate to do another project where we pay for the design even, and then there's no funding anywhere to finish it.
When we were asked to do all this, and we said, okay, we've done our work, here, city council, here's what we decided. Now it's up to you. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I even commented to a couple of people on council, what's going on? I asked Diane a couple of times, what's happening, because we were very excited about this. Well, they like the idea, but, well, let's see what happens. I said, fine, well, then our work is done. There's nothing more we can do until they make the decision of what they're going to do, because they ask us to pick a design out. And we had blue ribbon committees, and we had meetings, and all this. Never once was it even brought to our attention that we were going to pay for the entrance signs and the directional signs of Palm Springs. Not once was it ever mentioned.
well, this doesn't have anything to do with the directional signs. What we're
Well,
talking about is this.
No,
but
no,
still.
no, yes, it was. That was our
Now,
original
what I'm
charge.
talking about today is this.
Well,
Okay.
that-
Well,
That was-
obviously, it's coming as a surprise to all of you.
Yes,
We'll go
it
back and look
is.
through the minutes.
I can drag out our minutes where we
Okay,
said,
that's
just
fine.
design.
All
And,
right.
and we were never asked to consider this as a separate issue. We were always asked to consider this as a total package, so that as we eliminated people one by one, we said, we can't use them because they didn't come up with something for Ramon, they didn't come something for South Palm Canyon, East Palm Canyon, and they didn't come up with directional signs. We went through this, and we forced people to go back and come back to us again. It was all one package. And now this is a separate thing, and you're gonna pay for it, and this is only one thing. This is
No.
all news. I'm not trying to be
Well,
difficult, I'm just, this is you changed, the football field is now a baseball field.
No.
I mean, I don't know, unless I was someone.
it must be me. I have a totally different memory of our discussion of this
Well-
over the last 3 meetings. But obviously, it's 6-1 or 7-1.
7-1, yeah.
So I'll tell the council we're not going to do it. They're not going to pay for it.
All
Well,
right.
we don't even know what it is we're getting into. Maybe we can afford it.
Yeah, we don't know
We don't know
what
what
it's
it
gonna
is.
cost.
Maybe it's.
We have a preliminary cost estimate of about $140,000
No,
For one,
So-
for just this
for that.
entry.
Yeah.
just this one.
And can we?
Is that including the design part, the 140?
No.
Do we have 140?
Yeah, we
You
don't.
have 140.
And then
We
what do
haven't
we
seen
have
the
left?
budget
We
yet.
still don't know then what's left. I mean, can we do anything else? Can we do Talkwitz Corridor? Can we do any other projects? Can we do
How about our
anything at Ruth Hardy
maintenance?
Park, our maintenance? of the fountains and the others, you know, there's another proposal on the thing to do maintenance of what we own now. What do we have left? And I mean, I don't know. It's sort of hard to
Okay.
say yes or no to something when,
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing looking back on the minutes from our last meeting, because the last entry under this particular subject says the commission may want to review the water feature incorporated into the entry
I
sign
don't think
design.
they're hearing
Need
you.
to examine maintenance issues, i.e. who will
can
be
you
paying.
wait a minute, because I don't think they're listening.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
I mean, why were we talking about maintaining it and who's paying for it and all that stuff if we weren't involved in it?
We were talking about maintaining it, because if we approve a design, you know, it's gonna come back to us if it becomes a maintenance nightmare, is, I think, because we had that issue with the
Like some other
fountain, yeah.
things, sure.
Yes.
Which is fine, you know, because this was before I came on board, but I mean, I still find that real difficult to find that under a public arts commission.
Leo, I'm kind of going back to, I'm tending to feel, as Beth did, that I wouldn't mind paying a little more for design aspects if that's what it took to get this moving on, if I knew that there was funding someplace to pay for the project, because I'm just not sure this is the appropriate place to pay for the entire project. But I mean, the design aspect, you know, I wouldn't necessarily have as big.
I'm also of the mind that if we can afford to pay for this and not strap ourselves so severely that we can't do anything else for the next 2 years, you know, I just don't know. I don't know what we can afford to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. In concept, this is kind of like you're taking that whole section and it's going to be a beautiful site.
I'm
So that
thrilled.
can be
I
a
mean,
work of art.
Yes,
So I
I'm-
can see where we can stretch it, but I agree that I don't want to spend all our money because we have to do a lot of maintenance work and we've got to work on the fountain, et cetera, et cetera. So not knowing how much it's going to cost and how much money we have, you know, my thought is I really couldn't comment. I mean, I can comment, but I can't vote until I know what I'm voting for.
Wouldn't it help us decide also by knowing if we have any projections of what kind of money will be coming into
Yeah.
our funds in the next few years? There ought to be some ideas, and we can look at all the construction that's going on.
You got to understand how much blood, sweat, and tears and love is in this project. We don't want this to just be, oh, well, you're not going to pay for it, so it's dead. That isn't what we want to hear. We want this to be brought to fruition. We're thrilled about this. We're really excited about it. I mean, we wouldn't have invested much time as we have. But I don't know, you know, I also like the new Mercedes Maybach that's coming out. I can't afford it. I need to know, can we afford it? What else can we do? How much is it going to be? If we do that, can we clean what we have? Can we maintain what we have? We have a projection and a proposal, just a proposal, to see how much it's going to cost to maintain what we have. It's costing us a fortune to maintain the fountain. Things like that. And is this going to be another one of those situations where we're going to end up maintaining this at a huge cost because we did it? Who's maintaining this now? Parks and Rec, or?
Parks and Rec maintains.
So then we take over the maintenance of this, and that's another,
I don't really see this as, this is not like the fountain.
I don't know.
I mean, this
No,
is part of the,
Yeah.
it's really
We
going to
don't
be part
know,
of the
though.
visitor.
We have plans for the Tackwitz corridor, you know, we have other things we've talked about that are more in the realm of public art. That,
Well, if you don't want to do it, let me know.
No,
And then we'll-
no.
No, I think
No,
what we're saying to you is, if you could just let us know, can we afford to do this and still do some of the other things that need to be done right away? Or if we're going to have
Well,
enough
you know,
money-
you ask about the Tackwitz score. We haven't even begun to cost that out. So, I mean, that's a big unknown.
Yeah.
Can you afford to do it? I don't know. I have no idea.
Well,
what that's gonna cost.
eliminating that with just the things that we've discussed, like the fountain, we know we have
Right.
a problem with that. We also know that we desperately need to maintain the present artworks.
That's right.
And so, to me, these are our most critical projects right now. We may have talked about the Tackwitz corridor for 100 years, and if we're not ready to do it yet, we aren't ready to do it. But the things that we actually have talked about and really are ready to do are the things that I would like to know if we can actually afford those and this. That's all.
And I don't think we're in a position right now to come off of what we've done and try to do a fundraiser for a sign.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I
Right.
wouldn't ask you to do a
No,
fundraiser.
no, no,
think
I know
you're,
you wouldn't,
know.
but what I'm saying is, I'm thinking of alternative things. We picked up $150,000 so that we could do the Chihuly
Right.
project. And I say again, and I mean this from I think everybody feels the same way. We love this project. We have devoted a lot of our heart and soul into this thing, and we really want it to work. It's just a surprise that we were going to be asked to
pay more
buy
money.
it.
Yeah, I'm in same feeling, but before I can make a decision on this, I mean, you gotta look at it from a financial situation, a business standpoint. I think the maintenance is the number one thing, and we've got artwork out there that's deteriorating, that's the number one. But what I need to know before I can make a decision on this is how much money do we have right now, even after paying off the Chihulies? What's our balance in the account? What's coming in the next year? Then we can take a look at,
Yeah.
get us a bid on this. I mean, to approve something without even knowing what it is, I mean, is not a financial response, it's not responsible.
Well, as a public agency, I can't get a bid until I have a design. And I can't have a design until I have a designer design it.
Yeah.
And, so,
We're kind of,
Sounds like
we're
a
kind of
book,
back
sounds
to
like a
what,
book by another
You know.
Mr.
Yeah,
Heller.
well, tell me what we got in the account, and let's see what the maintenance
well,
is,
we have,
and then we'll take it from
you
there.
have about 300,000 in fund balance. And you get in revenue, I'll have to look at this year's projected revenue, 225,000 a year, I think, in revenue in.
What's going out?
Well, it all goes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here, no, I
It's
mean,
about 40,000 to maintain the fountain. We're gonna be working on reducing that this year. What we're hoping to do is come up with a proposal that maintains for that same money, not just the fountain, but all of your
okay.
artwork. But, you'll spend between maintenance and, other admin, probably, all but, I don't know, $60,000. You'd probably have about 60,000 available for art. Maybe, no, I guess it's 80 in specialized equipment, which is where we buy art. But you have essentially money in the bank in your fund balance of about 300. This
So
would be
we
about
took-
half that.
Yeah,
But
so
we
we'd be
also-
spending half for this, and then we'd have half left, and we'd
Right.
have a net
Yeah.
of about 80,000 that we could use as a cushion that we could use for things such as art maintenance and things of
Right.
that sort. This is a very cursory thing.
Well, talk with corridor too, we haven't gotten started on that yet.
Right.
No.
no.
And, so, that's still gonna be a year or two before
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking about putting a pad down.
Absolutely.
So we could recover from this and then be
Yeah,
involved in that.
well, the encouraging thing is having been at council cabinet meeting, is with the numbers that, remember when we were questioning at the last council, is the number of new construction that's going on. It's like 3,350 new homes and on and on and on, 2,500 new hotel rooms. I mean, I've been broadcasting that all over the desert. So there's got to be somewhat at 1/4% and at 0.5% negotiated one way or another. There's a lot going on in the city.
Your revenue is not projected to go down. It's
We're doing
projected
quite
to
well
go up.
revenue-wise.
okay, revenue's one thing, and I agree it's important, we need to know what we have and what we're spending from a budgeting standpoint, but I'm still having a problem going back to whether this is the
Public
appropriate project to be 100% paid for by the Public Arts Commission. And that was something when we were a subcommittee that we brought up originally, when Harry, was it you and I and Leo? That we said, why are we spending the time to work on this project and work on just even the design if we don't know where it's going to get paid out of? And so this is something we have kind of thrown out there many times before. And again, I can go back and I could say, I could live with paying for more design fees because, again, we're back to, moving this project in the right direction. And I think we all believe in this project. But whether we should do that when we don't know where the money's going to come from to pay for it, should we be paying for 100% or should there be something from one of the other departments? And I understand there are budget issues with the rest of the city and the other departments.
Can we, as a commission, make a loan? Can we loan to the city of Palm Springs with the
Well,
recuperating?
one of the things I was going to ask, and I really, it's not right to put you on the spot like this, but if we weren't in the statewide crunch that we're in right now, would this be an appropriate thing? Council asks us to go out and find a design that's appropriate, and we go out and find a design that's appropriate, and they said, gee, you did such a good job, we're going to let you pay for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It's-
saying? It's like a sign, it's
Had-
of the times, is what I'm saying.
I think it is a little bit the sign of the times, but had we not bought the visitor center, I don't think we'd even be having this discussion.
Yeah, oh,
It
that's-
would
but-
stay on the shelf.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Lori's question about, well, couldn't another department, all of the other departments come out of the same fund.
Yeah, oh, I know.
The general
Oh, I
fund.
know that.
So it's not a matter of somebody else having it in their budget. And, boy, they can just spring for it. It's either the city, meaning the general fund, or
you-
somebody else.
Or it's us.
guys.
And, or
Or it's
you rich,
us.
yeah, and that's, I run the redevelopment agency. We're asked to pay for an awful lot of stuff too, that sometimes I think, it's legal and it's things that we can pay for. But from time to time, I think, well, the city ought to pay for that. Well, the city can't pay for it. The city has a $4.2 million deficit going forward. They have this visitor center. They see it as a very important piece at the entrance to the city for its largest industry, tourism, and it's a tremendous opportunity for for tourism. The tribe, the tram has an interest here. Desert Water Agency, the Desert Museum, and all of these entities, the Bureau of Land Management, the National Monument, all have an interest in sort of being there. Everybody's coming forward. Now, the fact is, we went forward with a design on the building, and I was not given a budget and said, here's $500,000 and live, design the whole thing. We were just told, make it work. And it's only been in the last couple of weeks that the financial reality, I think, has really sunk into the council, and they said, tell you what, there's $500,000 on that project to work with, and make the whole thing work for $500,000, and which includes new bathrooms, a parking lot, and basically taking a raw empty shell and converting it to the interior of the visitor center. The landscaping went away, and certainly any discussion of the city paying for the entry sign was never even on the table. You are the Arts Commission. If you feel that, number one, it's not really an appropriate art piece, that you like it, you're happy to pay for the design competition, but it doesn't fall within the ordinance, that's certainly your call. Number two, if you're concerned about the finances, and that it's a little rich for your blood, and you don't think you can afford it, that's also your call.
What? Sorry to cut you off. Why can't, if we have all these other groups that are interested, like you said, the tribe, and you've got the Bureau of Tourism, you've got so on and so forth, all these people, why can't we, if we find it difficult to cover it under the public arts dollars, can we find out if there's a way that we can make a loan to do this project and then charge all of those groups? And let's say, just to get it, like you say, let's get it on and get it going and get it done, and then have Bureau of Tourism pay in, have the tribe pay in, have all these people that want to wave a flag at it pay back to public arts, and then we can go on and do what we're supposed to do, which is artwork.
Well, number four, you brought that up. We may get a lot of guff from the public, and you have no idea how many people watch this program, and they'll say, why are you using the money for that entry? And that's not public art, Margie. And where is the statue going up for $140,000? Instead, it's going into building something which has nothing to do with public art. And I do get calls.
The most ironic thing about this is, when we did our survey, when we had our blue ribbon panel, when we did all of our original thing, which went on for months and months, and we put all these things in the lobby of the building, and we did all the voting and all the stuff, and it was in the paper, guess what they picked? What's there?
Yeah, it's what's there.
Okay.
No, I'm just telling you, that's what, that's what they picked. We weren't satisfied, we went further, we said, no, the city asked us to go find something more beautiful, something more spectacular. We really poured ourselves into this thing. And so we came up with, after many years, what we thought was really swell, but it was just, this is just a surprise, that's all.
Yeah.
So I guess what's the next step? Do we just have to, do we need like a single sheet of paper saying, here's what you got and here's what the demands are on the dollars? You know, so that we have something that we can look at and say, okay, let's either bite the bullet and do it, or just say we just can't do it and paint it what's there and live with it, or just go ahead and do it and know that what we're gonna end up with is something really beautiful for posterity. And 50 years from now, somebody's children's children will laugh at this and say, can you imagine, they almost killed the project over $140 lousy $1,000, and today it would only be $2 million to duplicate it, like selling the Muppets back to the family for a profit of $30 million. No, I'm serious. I don't want to quibble over a measly $140,000. It's just such a surprise, I guess.
Well, we'll come back next month and, you know, kind of fully give you the big picture. We had started giving you that, and we haven't followed up this month. And I think you have other issues that you're going to need to talk through. I mean, just whether or not you want to do it.
Leah, maybe we need to have the subcommittee go back and look at the ordinance and just, you know, see if we can let it fit within, see if it does fit within the definition of public art. You know, maybe we do that while you're doing the finances.
What about all these other entities that are interested, kicking in some, and maybe a
You know,
percentage?
Can I make
Let
a
me,
suggestion?
go
Why don't we
ahead.
just have the city attorney look at it?
Yeah. Let me give you the big picture on the visitor center, is that the rent that we had been paying prior to this year was about $2,200 a month, of which the tribe was paying more than half. So the tourism was paying like $800 a month to be in there. Now the rent's doubled this year because we're in a one-year lease. By the time you capitalize the acquisition of the current visitor center and the rehab costs, you're over, you know, about 1.1 million to charge back to tourism and the tribe and all the other. I mean, they're already going to be probably doubling or tripling or quadrupling what their contribution is. I don't think, for the most part, you're going to see really any desire on any of their parts to, in addition to that, kick into to the sign.
To help.
Can I just suggest, tell me if you think I'm right, Mr. Raymond, if we just asked the city attorney for an interpretation, he would have a much brighter way of looking at that thing than we would, because we would look at it and say, well, page 6 says this, but page 11 says that. Am I wrong, or am I not? Will he look at it?
For a
Well,
fee.
yeah, we can ask them. to look
For
at
a
it.
fee.
Well, that's all right, so
Well,
we're gonna spend
of course,
140,000,
But
I think we can afford
should,
it.
I think that it would be good for him to look at
Yeah.
our
Just say-
charge to
Yeah,
be sure
and
that
just say
this
that this
doesn't
is okay
violate
for
it.
us to do.
Yep,
I think it's good.
okay, we'll ask them to do that.
At least that puts certainly yours and all of our minds at ease, that we're doing something, and if there's any criticism, we looked at it legally. And then we just need to make the decision. I mean, listen, we've invested more than $140,000 of our time in this thing.
Yes, you
I don't
know.
want to see it die.
Well, when we started this project, I mean, we sent out FRPs, you know, for
Yeah.
proposals from the
RFPs.
artists, from artists.
Yeah.
RFPs, from artists. We got sculptural designs
From
back, which
Japan
we
and all over
presented.
the world.
Everywhere.
Really incredible stuff we presented to the public. They voted, you know, and then we said, well, this isn't going to do. Also, at that time, we decided, you know, people felt left out, local artists and designers felt left out, so we decided to include them because we missed them somehow, I guess. And we wanted something better also. The designs we saw before, we weren't totally, I mean, there were some really exciting things, but we looked at, well, number one, it wouldn't work. Number two, they didn't include the signage in for the rest of the city.
Which we were challenged that we had to do.
So we kicked them out, you know. So we ended up with, we didn't really care for much of anything. And we went back to it, and this is actually
Yeah.
what we came up with. This is what we liked, you know. So even though we had sculptures to begin with, we ended up with this design. I think it's, you know, it's interpreted, well, it's architectural, it's landscape architecture, it's graphic design. As far as I'm concerned, it's a work of art.
Yeah, I feel the
I
same
agree
way.
with
And
Harry.
it's just a matter of,
I
can
totally
we,
agree with you.
you know, pay for it or
You're
not.
agreeing to pay for it then.
So I'm, well, no, I
No,
didn't
It's a
say-
work of
not
art.
didn't say that.
What I'm saying is,
Not
I'm
that.
not looking at this like a Rancho Mirage or a Palm Desert, 4 pieces of slab of concrete falling against each other. Hope they're not listening.
They are.
I think this is a work of art. Well, you got an artist and you got an architect that put their heads together with the landscape architect and put this together. I think I would be proud. I mean, my chest sticks out when I see this. I think it's absolutely magnificent. So I don't have a problem with that. I guess this is a shock value more
Yeah.
than anything else.
Well,
Because
I don't
we were
think we
just
need to talk to a
nonchalantly
lawyer.
asked to do this, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
Well,
okay.
it didn't come as a shock to me just because we never knew for sure. We always thought, well, where are they going to, you know, where's the money going to come from? We've asked many times, who's going to pay for this?
We
Yeah.
just knew it wasn't us.
We didn't want it to be us.
No.
You know, that was
You
obvious.
didn't want it to be, they didn't mean
Yeah,
that it
but we
wasn't
didn't
going
know
to
for
be.
We
sure,
thought it
you
was
know.
gonna be you, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never too sure who it was going to be, but
Well, that's because
particularly if
you're
it was
wiser than
more
we
in
are.
line as a piece
Lori
of
and I are
artwork.
more naive.
Yeah, well, if it was a real piece of sculpture, you know, naturally we'd think, well, maybe we should be paying for it. If we can afford it, if we can work it out, I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, oh, I don't either.
I don't think I need a lawyer to tell
So,
me that it's okay to do it.
Mr. Raymond, this isn't a bunch of blockheads sitting here saying, whoa, what do you mean we're not gonna do this? We just wanna make sure that we legally are doing the right thing and we can afford to do it.
Okay.
That's it. So pardon our reaction and pardon us public for reacting the way that we
We're
did.
shocked.
But we were just,
We were
it was a
shocked.
surprise.
Shocked.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We better go on. We have other things.
We're
Leave
gonna,
here in 10 minutes.
we're gonna skip a few things on the agenda and we're going to go down to the art collection maintenance.
Yeah.
Pass
Why don't you
over.
just-
Do you want me to finish the report that I started last time? Because we've been to every one of the pieces now.
Yeah, except that I think what we better do is give it to us in writing and we'll look at it.
I have it in writing.
It's already been passed out.
And then let us talk about the fact that what we need to do is move right into the maintenance side of it.
That's what we did.
We did.
Well, I know, what I mean is, what are we going to do about it?
Well, we have to start repairing.
I just
That's our
handed that to
report,
you.
Beth and Margie and I. That's
That's
the
our
ending
report.
part of the one we started last time.
Do you have one of these?
Yes.
Margie and I have them.
You did, I think the last month you did hand out, and it had the whole thing, right?
No.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
completes it.
Last
That
month,
was
we
half.
we had seen
Oh, you just
5
gave us
pieces.
half. Oh, okay.
This time, we finished
Right.
everything.
Well,
Continuation. Right, then it starts with
Now,
9s and
do
11s.
you want to take the time to go through each one of these at this time?
That's up to you. You're the one, I mean, on the clock.
Would it be better to go to a different agenda item and do this next month?
What is it that you've just handed us some sort of a proposal,
Well,
is this?
I didn't
that's what I
hand you
started to
anything. I
say.
don't know
What
I think it's Kathy and Leona.
what is needed is, with all your hard work in coming up with these, with the survey of what we own, we know that we need maintenance work.
Yes.
In doing that, one person has approached Kathy, and I'll let her speak to that.
Okay.
With a proposal to present to us her proposal to maintain and clean them, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I contacted this company because they are, in my conversation with the city of Palm Desert, and they are contracted to do their maintenance program. And so we met briefly, and I asked her to take a quick look at our map that we had. That's about the only thing I had at the time to go by, to consider a proposal that we can give to you to look at, to put a description, recommendation, and a priority to each piece as to what needs to be done to them. It's a little different than what you guys have done. I know you've spent a lot of time. And it would be more long-term, because the proposal would also include training. This particular proposal is just for her to do a survey. The next step would be they would then maintain the pieces, and there would be more to it than that. But I think, unfortunately, our time is pretty short, and I know there needs to be a major discussion about a maintenance program long-term, as well as the short-term of priority pieces that need to be fixed right away. I just wanted to say about this particular company, the reason why I asked her to go ahead and come by, she was working in Palm Desert on their pieces now, and it was a matter of timing. It was perfect timing. And Palm Desert did an extensive search to find a company to do this. And the company, I think, as she describes, I actually have a resume, so to speak, of the company, in that they're pretty full service. It's not just one particular type of artwork, but encompasses a lot of different pieces. And I'll answer any other questions.
Okay, so.
Well, number one, I don't think I'd be interested in a company from Los Angeles maintaining our pieces, because you're paying travel time every day, you're paying hotel, you're paying through the teeth. And I think there are local people where you don't have those expenses who can maintain our pieces in a very fine manner. So I do not think that at this time, in this financial climate and so on, that we need to go to Los Angeles to get someone and then have to pay them travel time of $40 an hour to come out and check out something.
Did you contact the Desert Museum for their person who maintains their pieces?
No, I have not.
I would suggest you talk to them.
Okay.
And there are other people in this area, particularly, I know of a couple in Palm Springs, and I think that they should be contacted too.
I think that would be great. And one of the requests I would have, if they happen to be here or be watching, is maybe they can let me know who they are. You seem to know who they are, but and this hasn't been something that I have come across in writing of who to contact. Being new to the this particular work, I don't have that information. So it would be helpful if I did, and I'd be happy to contact them, and then we can set this on a future agenda item.
Isn't there a legal process that in doing this, that we seek and post this?
Yeah, when it comes time to actually hire somebody, we'll have to bid it out. So we're in the process right now of just finding out who would go on the bid list.
All right.
And
Pardon me, but I think Diane had a file on them for maintenance of the pieces, didn't she? Yeah. I know that she had contacted.
She may have had it in her head.
Conservators.
No.
Okay, I thought there was a
We've
file.
gone through and we've tried to find stuff that it's
Well, it's not
Okay.
difficult.
Okay.
It's, so, this is a company Palm Desert's using. We're not recommending them, we're just saying that this is a proposal. We'll put together a list of local people, and that's fine.
And this is a good guideline even
Yeah.
for us, because
Gives
we
us something to-
haven't
Right.
seen anything like this before, so it gives us
Right.
something to work with. And
The,
not saying that we would not want these people, it's just that we like to have others in town.
no, that's true, and like I said, we would end up bidding it out or doing an RFP anyway, and so we're just in the sort of information gathering now.
If they want to come in very low, that's fine too.
Well, that's true.
Sure. But,
Now, on some of the maintenance issues that were identified, and I know we just have a couple of minutes, in the previous meeting, on the Richard Wyatt mural, we've got Richard out there fixing that. We've put an order in to fix the chipped stucco plaster on the building. We've talked to the downtown about the standing woman sculpture in that crescent of putting a crescent of concrete in, and I think there were one or two more that we've already started figuring out. Now the
Good.
Kauai woman, we haven't figured out what to do about that yet, but we're working on that. And not just the big clean, but the
area.
the base and the
Landscaping.
landscaping
Cleaning up.
and all that. And again, potentially part of the solution on the maintenance of the Rainmaker could end up being that for the same money, we would have somebody that would be able to provide ongoing maintenance and repair of the whole collection of art
as part of
for,
it.
really for the same money. So, and that's a solution that we're trying to work on. And that would be really the ideal thing. Then you would sort of fix your maintenance costs.
So as we're leaving it now is, we're going to leave it, Mr. Raymond, we're going to leave it that the next step will be yours to find people. Kathy will find people.
We were supposed to let her know people that she could contact
Yeah.
if we knew them, and.
But then also,
Given the sake of my time, as you know, you've had that discussion about halftime and all of that. It might be more helpful and more expeditious to have people, if you know them, and then, through the process, I can find other people and contact them as well.
Thank you for this.
And get a list.
Good.
Yeah.
we might not have to look that far.
You
even
want a
as we
name right
speak.
now?
No, I do not.
Jeffrey's here. He's one that I told you about.
There's somebody right near us in the back of the room.
Yes.
Wait, can I just say something real quick on the maintenance thing still?
Sure. No.
On the new list that was turned in on May 8th, on Flight, we don't own that. That's
Well,
it.
no, but we can perhaps make a suggestion in a letter to them.
Somebody could call them.
That they
Yeah.
put a plaque, and we thought it would be enhanced if there
Okay.
were some
And
greenery.
Did you look at Charlie? Because it's not on either list.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we looked at Charlie.
I
Yeah.
guess we didn't
Well,
write
Because
Charlie.
Kathy and I
Actually-
just looked at Charlie, and it's in real bad need of
Charlie
something.
Montgomery.
Charlie Montgomery.
Yeah.
Charlie Farrell.
If they lit
His feet are
Flight
in
for one
bad
thing, that
shape.
would help.
Yes.
It's water. It's water on the feet.
And it would help just seeing it. Just very quickly on, and then we'll finish. Sunrise Place, you have a copy of the letter that Mr. Raymond has
Very nice letter.
sent out
Good.
Yes.
on that to clear that up. And the city photo contest, we need a subcommittee. Would you be interested in putting a little group together to get a subcommittee? And I brought it up last time, it's officially on the agenda, to get photographs for the website, or would you just like to do that for
Oh.
the city of Palm Springs?
Harry and I, why don't we put together, I
city
haven't
would
a
be very
clue what we do,
appreciative.
how to go about it, but maybe Harry and I could do it, and somebody else, you want to do it, Lori? Oh, you weren't here last time? We're talking about a photo contest.
Just to get good photographs for the website for the city of Palm Springs. They've redesigned it. They want fabulous photographs of the valley.
What about Tracy? You want to be on a subcommittee?
Sure.
Okay.
Tracy with
Tracy,
Beth.
Beth.
Mary. Okay, we have to adjourn. Any added
And this is for the
starters?
photo contest thing, right?
Any reports of staff? Paula?
0. Thank you.
None. One comment, and I will lead the group to say, Margie, we tip our hats to you for
Thank you.
10 grand, fabulous years of service for this commission.
Thank
We
you.
thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will miss you tremendously. Now you can let your hair down and go home.
Oh, you know
Thank
it.
you
The wind.
so much for so many things.
Did we move to adjourn the meeting, or was
I need a
asleep?
move for adjournment.
I make the motion that we adjourn
Wait
the
a minute,
meeting.
what's the matter?
Once you adjourn, Mr. Chairman, we have a new framed piece back in the office we'd like you to take a look at.
Oh,
So if you could all follow us
All
back.
commissioners, please.
I make the motion we adjourn.
I second.
any objections? Passed.
Yes, could everybody bring their